Rusty, somewhere.
Hello ESCA best friends. In this episode we're going to talk about an action film titled The Town. This movie tells the story of a skilled gang of robbers who plan to rob a bank. The group consists of 4 friends from the same neighborhood in Charlestown, USA. They are Douglas, Doug, McCrae, Ben Affleck, James, Jem, Coughlin, Jeremy Renner, Albert, Lonesy, McGlone, Slane, and Desmond, Des, Eldon, Owen Burke. The gang's notoriety makes an FBI agent obsessed with catching them. During one of their heists, they take the bank manager, Claire Kesey, Rebecca Hall, hostage. However, Claire is eventually released after they find out she lives in their neighborhood. After letting her go, Doug keeps an eye on Claire and approaches her, fearing that she might uncover his identity. Unexpectedly, Doug develops feelings for Claire. The situation becomes even more complicated as Doug faces a choice: to save Claire from his gang's operations or to escape the relentless pursuit of the FBI. Without further ado, let's dive into the plot of The Town. The film opens with a narration explaining that in the neighborhood of Carrollton, Boston is well known for its frequent bank robberies. In fact, it happens so often that this city has the highest rate of robberies in the country. This is the story of 4 friends who have grown accustomed to this line of work. They are Doug, Jem, Glons, and Des. Doug is the mastermind behind their plans, and he gives the other 3 every detail they need to carry out the job. One day, they carried out a bank robbery wearing masks and full-body coverings. They quickly stormed into the bank, ordering everyone to get down on the floor and even taking their phones. After that, they forced the bank manager, named Claire, to open the vault. This allowed them to freely take all the money inside.
Go!
The robbers also put the CCTV hard drive into a microwave to destroy it. Not only that, they poured bleach everywhere to ensure their fingerprints and DNA couldn't be traced. However, without their knowledge, Claire had pressed the alarm button with her foot, prompting the police to arrive and surround them. Claire also accidentally caught a glimpse of the word, Yosin, tattooed on the back of Jem's neck. As a result, the robbers decided to take Claire as a hostage. They then dropped Claire off at the beach and told her to remove her blindfold after they had left. After the incident, the crime scene was taken over by the FBI and put under the responsibility of Special Agent Adam Fruley. There, they found no evidence linking to the robbers, which meant the crew was highly professional. The next day, Fruley interrogated Claire, and she shared only a little of what she knew, avoiding details such as the tattoo on the robber's neck. This was because the crew had threatened to kill her if she gave any information to the FBI.
Did you try to escape at any point?
Meanwhile, the group of friends held a meeting next to the scrapyard, where Jem found Claire's ID card and realized that she lived near their neighborhood. Jem planned to follow Claire, but Doug quickly took over the task, as Jem was too ruthless and there was a risk it could end in violence. Doug and Jem then went around the neighborhood to make payments to the people involved in their operation, such as an arms dealer, a car dealer, and a man named Fergus Collum, an Irish mob boss who posed as a florist. That night, the guys spent their money partying at a club. The next morning, Doug began following Claire all the way to a laundromat. It was there that Claire started crying after noticing a stain on her shirt collar. Doug took the opportunity to approach her, pretending to comfort her and inviting her to go out for a walk. The two began sharing stories, and Doug even claimed that he worked as a laborer and that his father lived on the outskirts of the city. In reality, his father was in prison.
Right up to the ladies.
Doug then took Claire on a boat ride, claiming that the boat belonged to a friend of his. In truth, the boat actually belonged to someone else. The next day, Frouley received a lead that the robbers were skilled at tampering with the electrical system boxes in banks. People with such knowledge usually worked at places like Vericum. Upon learning this, Frouley began searching for information on Vericum employee profiles. Frouley also met with Claire to question her further.
I'm the bad guy. You walk into Lewisburg.
What is it?
Yeah. What would we do without Chelsea?
Long story short, over time, Claire and Doug grew closer. Claire admitted that she was cooperating with the FBI and helping to provide whatever information she knew. She then revealed that she had seen a tattoo on one of the robbers, but had not yet told the FBI about it because she feared the robbers' threats. Hearing this, Doug advised her to keep it secret for now and only reveal it when the time was right. Doug then began sharing about his mother, who had left when he was only 6 years old, and how he was now trying to find her. Claire also shared that she had once been pelted with a glass bottle by a local thug while on her way to work. Not accepting the thug's treatment toward Claire, Doc invited Jem to confront the thug and beat him up.
You drinking beers up here? Huh? Chain.
After beating up the thug, Doug warned him to leave the area. But James became even more ruthless by shooting the thug in the leg.
Oh, stop. Don't tell the cops, all right? No?
Meanwhile, Frouley discovered Dez's file while working at Vericum, where it showed that Dez had taken a day off on the same date as the bank robbery. From there, Frouley began tailing Dez and found him hosting a barbecue with his crew. Frouley then ordered his agents to keep monitoring their movements and take photos of them.
We're used to employ McRae's father.
You need a guard saw his face, so executes.
For going over the counter at a Bay Bank with a nail gun. Yeah, it was a big deal for a minute got drafted.
Craig came home.
Now, we are long 24-hour surveillance unless one of these idiots can...
The next day, Claire and Doc had lunch together. When Claire went to the restroom, Jem suddenly showed up and sat with Doug, who began to feel nervous, afraid that Claire might find out. At the same time, Claire returned to the table, which naturally startled Jem. Doc then did his best to get Jem to leave while covering the tattoo on the back of Jem's neck.
It's nice to meet you.
You too.
Upon returning home, Jem warned Doug that they now had a witness who could send them to prison. He also told Doug to inform the other members about it. In addition, they had to prepare for the next heist. However, Doug felt he wasn't ready for another job and told Jem to find someone else instead. Unfortunately, Jem refused. He said Doug could quit this criminal work if he agreed to take part in this next job as his last. Doug agreed to the deal. They then prepared several things they needed, such as collecting strands of hair from a salon to use as fake evidence. They thoroughly washed themselves and cleaned all their tools. They also used bleaching agents to ensure no fingerprints were left behind. After that, they got into their car and put on masks to hide their identities. They then tailed an armored truck carrying bank money and went straight ahead to rob it. At first, everything went smoothly, but one of the guards fought back by pointing his gun at Doug. Not only that, but the police also began to arrive, forcing Jem to kill the guard and flee as quickly as possible. As a result, a high-speed chase between the robbers and the police ensued. Not long after, the police managed to corner them. However, the robbers opened fire brutally and quickly made their escape. They then managed to escape from the police pursuit to switch to a vehicle prepared by Des. When they stopped to switch vehicles again, they were spotted by a police officer who happened to be parked nearby. However, since he was alone, the officer was too afraid and pretended not to see anything. Although no solid evidence had been found yet, Frawley immediately ordered his men to arrest Doug and the other three. They were then interrogated and told to read the lines that the robbers had once spoken to their victims. However, the investigation results did not match at all.
About 5 things there. Jeez, what the fuck is...
Frawley then continued searching for other clues from Claire. But when he contacted her workplace, they revealed that Claire had already quit her job. This made Frawley suspicious, and he ordered his men to tap Claire's phone. From there, they discovered that Claire had been in a close relationship with Doug all along. Elsewhere, Doug met with Claire and gave her a diamond necklace. After their meeting, Claire was visited by Frawley, who noticed the diamond necklace. Frawley then showed her Doug's profile and revealed what had actually happened. Meanwhile, Jem came to see Doug again, offering him a new job from Fergus. However, Doug refused and firmly stated that he had now turned over a new leaf. Jem then brought up the fact that he had once killed someone to protect Doug and had even spent 9 years in prison because of it. But Doug didn't care at all and still refused the job. Doug then went straight to Fergus to tell him that he no longer wanted to do any robberies. However, Fergus didn't want anyone else but Doug, since Doug was the one who often planned the heists. Fergus also revealed a fact Doug had never heard before. It turned out that his mother had not left him, but had died after Fergus persuaded her to take drugs, which led to an overdose that killed her. And if Doug refused to take this job, Fergus threatened to kill Claire in the same way he had made Doug's mother overdose. Upon learning this, Doug immediately went to see Claire. However, Claire drove him away, as she now knew who Doug really was.
You gotta fucking hell! Someone you have to fuck him too. Get out! Get out!
Since Claire no longer wanted to see him, Doug began watching her apartment until he eventually saw one of Fergus's men hang a funeral wreath on her door. As a result, Doug agreed to take the job from Fergus. The next day, the crew gathered to hear Fergus's plan, in which he had obtained insider information to rob Fenway Park, a baseball stadium in Boston. They planned to carry out the heist in broad daylight, right after the game ended and when the vault was full. Meanwhile, Frawley approached Krista at a bar to dig for more information. However, Krista gave him false leads. As a result, Frawley and his men ended up targeting the wrong place during the raid.
How many diamonds?
Des took the home over the weekend.
Open it! Open the door! Open it! I'm not allowed, you motherfucker! The whole fucking town!
On the other hand, Chris met with Doug and tried to persuade him to take her away and live together. However, Doug refused and told her to leave. This made Chris walk away feeling sad, which eventually led to a minor accident. Freelight then visited Chris in the hospital. He promised her that he would give her and her child a good life, in return for Chris providing him with accurate information. As a result, Chris agreed to Freelight's request.
And being driven by a stranger to the Department of Social Services.
The day of the robbery finally arrived, with Des setting up the electrical system to disable the alarms and CCTV. Meanwhile, Doc and Jem disguised themselves as police officers so they would be allowed into the stadium. As they were about to reach the vault room, the stadium staff and security guards suddenly appeared. Since the disguise failed, they ended up threatening the staff with their weapons. After that, Doug and Jem went to the cash room, threatening all the employees inside to open the door. They then entered and stole as much money as they could. Afterward, they escaped through the parking area, where Glonsey and Des were already waiting with an ambulance. However, just as they were getting ready, Doug sensed something was off. The 3 station corridors were unusually empty, even though there should have been workers there. When Doug looked out the window, he was shocked to see that the FBI had already surrounded every entrance to the building. Realizing this, Jem immediately opened fire on the FBI agents hiding inside their vehicles. As a result, a shootout between the robbers and the FBI agents broke out. During the attack, Glownsy was shot, but he managed to survive because he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Des then ran to open the door, while Doc fired at one of the agent's trucks, causing it to speed out of control.
Maybe one down.
Go.
There's a million fucking cops out there.
You walk out with your hands up, you could get 7 years.
Soon after, the FBI threw several stun grenades through the windows, impairing the robbers' hearing. The FBI then proceeded to enter and shot Des. After that, Glownsy came up with a plan where he would leave while keeping an eye on the FBI, while Doug and Jem disguised themselves as police officers again, carrying the money. Doug and Jem then blended in with the other officers and tried to escape. Meanwhile, Glownsy drove the ambulance past the FBI agents, but they immediately opened fire on him, killing him. As a result, the ambulance he was driving crashed into a large truck.
I don't know if
Soon after, the FBI received information from a stadium employee that one of the robbers was wearing a police uniform. So, Freelight immediately began looking for the suspicious officer. At that moment, he spotted Jem walking while carrying a large bag. But when Freelight followed him, Jem instantly opened fire on Freelight. Unfortunately for Jem, today was not his lucky day. He was surrounded by the police and the FBI, who shot him until Jem was completely dead. Meanwhile, Doc witnessed the incident and took the opportunity to escape. Doug then went to the flower shop to kill Fergus and his men. Doc then left with a sum of money he had hidden and later called Claire. Unbeknownst to her, Doc was watching from the building next door and saw Claire with the FBI. Claire was then told to persuade Doc to come over. Even though Doc knew the FBI was there, he agreed to meet her. After that, Claire told Doc that the weather was nice today, a coded message to warn him that it was all a trap.
Subway, everything.
Doug then hid a sum of money in Claire's garden. Earlier, he had left the city by train. Not long after, Freelay began to realize and grow suspicious of the phrase, "Today is sunny," that Claire said to Doc. As her close friend, he understood that it was a warning code telling Doc not to come. As a result, Freelay ended up losing Doc, who had now fled out of the city. A few days later, Claire found the money that Doug had hidden in her garden. And inside the bag was a note saying that someday they might meet again. Claire then decided to use the money to donate toward the renovation of the ice hockey rink, the place where Doug once played, in memory of his mother. And that's the end of the film. That's it for this movie recap. Guys, always support this channel by clicking the subscribe, like, and share buttons, and leave your comments if you found this video entertaining. See you in the next videos. Greetings from your friend Ieska.